I'm Rick Lepley, and welcome to Rick's 5-Minute Guitar. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how to make chords. Yeah, I just thought it'd be a good idea to put together kind of a tutorial on how chords are made. First, we're going to look at the major chord. Pretty much everything stems from the major chord, right? So we're going to look at the G major chord. Imagine that, I do everything in the key of G. So let's do the G chord, seeing how we are studying the guitar in the key of G. So the G chord, you know, if you're just beginning, then you might say, I don't even know what a G chord is, but others, maybe you're familiar with a G chord. Perhaps you make a G chord this way. Okay, can you see it? Yeah. Just the open G chord. Or this way. Another way to make the open G chord that's good, you know, enables you to go from C to G pretty easily there in the open position. And then there is the bar chord, okay, which you can tell that's a G chord, right? Okay, so we're going to analyze the G bar chord, and first. To make a G major chord, how many notes do you think you need? Well, I'm going to tell you, you only need 3 notes. In fact, the minimum notes you can have to even call it a chord is 3 notes. So you got to have at least 3 notes to make a chord. 2 notes, you know, is maybe a double stop, or just 2 notes, or it's an interval between 2 notes. Okay, so at least 3 chords. Okay, so you got 3 notes that are harmonizing together, and these notes would be notes taken from the major scale. In this case, to make a G major chord, we would take the notes from the G major scale. Now, what are the notes of the G major scale? It's G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and then back to G, right? But there's really just 7 notes, okay? It's G to F sharp, okay? And then it's back to G. It just repeats, right? So the G in the G major scale is the first note. The A that comes after G is the second note. B is the third note. C is the 4th note. And D is the 5th note. Now we're going to stop right there for right now, okay? Because the notes that you need out of the major scale is the first note, the 3rd note, and the 5th note. So in this case then, beginning with G, the G major scale, making a G major chord, the first note, G, okay? So G would be our first note to make a G major chord. Now we're going to skip the 2nd note, so it's the 1st, the 3rd, so we're going to skip the A, and we'll go to the B. So our 2nd note in the G major chord is a B. Okay, now we need a 5th note, right? It's the 1st, the 3rd, and the 5th. We have a G, a B. We'll skip this C because that's the 4th note. And we're going to go to D, which is the 5th note in the major scale. So we have our answer. The 3 notes to make a G major chord are G. That was true, but it's G, B, and D. Okay, so G, B, D. All right, so let's take a look at the G major chord then, this bar chord. Okay, and what's interesting, you know, about this bar chord is really, the reason you call it a bar chord is you're barring here, okay? The nut on the guitar, this is the nut, is really kind of barring here, right? And that's how you can make open chords. You know, the E major is the same, you just move it up, and now my finger is taking the place of this nut, okay? Same thing a capo would do if you were to put a capo on the strings. Okay, so there I am, and this is a G note on the 6th string on the 3rd fret. So there's G. So we're going to be looking now on vertically here in this chord. We're looking for G, B, and D, and it's just kind of neat that this whole chord here is just G. Then here on the 5th fret, on the 5th string rather, is a D note. Okay, so G, D, And then on the fourth, we have another G. We have an octave of the first G there. So we got G, B, D, okay? And then to make this chord then, now I'm putting my second finger here on the 4th fret, 3rd string, and that is a B note. So G, A, B, so there's a B note. G, D, G, B. And then on the 2nd string now, we were barring, so now we're going to bar, with our barred finger we're going to be playing this note here on the 2nd string on the 3rd fret, and that is a D note. Okay? B, C, D. Alright? So we have G, D, G, B, D, and there's another G on the 1st string there. So, okay, there's our G notes there on the 2 E strings up on the 3rd fret. There you go. So, played together, you have this full chord. Okay, you got your lows, your mids, and your highs in that chord. You know, when you're playing a chord, it can be good to bring out those different, as you're strumming even, is to bring out those different octaves, the lows, the mids, the highs of that chord there. It adds interest and kind of dimension to it, doesn't it? Okay, so that was just a side note. All right, so back to the chord. So that's a G major chord. So we just made a chord, but now let's break it down. Now the 3 notes, the 1st, the 3rd, and the 5th, there's a name for that, and it's called a triad. Okay, so it would be a G major triad. So what we have here is, this is incorporated of G major triads. So let's look at the first triad here, starting on the 1st string. So we have our G note. On our 2nd string we have a D note, and on our 3rd string, whoops, we have a B note. So that's a G chord. Okay. Now so there's one triad. We have then we go starting with the 2nd string. We have the D note, the B note, and a G note there on the 4th string, right? Can you see what I'm doing? I'm just barring these 2 strings, adding my 2nd finger there. Okay, and then I'm not playing this high G note here. I'm playing the D note, and then on the 3rd string, 4th fret, the B note, and on the 5th fret, 4th string, the G note. And then now, starting here now, we have a B note. Let's just play it with our 2nd finger. The B note. On our 4th string, we have a G note, right? And then we have the D note there on the 5th string, 5th fret. Okay. Now, here though, we have a G note, a D note, and a G. So not a triad, so played on its own. It's not necessarily a triad. Okay, but so the notes just repeat. Okay, the notes just repeat. Okay, so there's that. Now, what if I wanted to make the G major a minor? What do you do to make the G major a minor? Well, the rule for that is, so we know we have the 1st is a G, the 2nd, or the 3rd note rather, is the B, and the 5th note is the D, right? Well, in order to make a major chord a minor chord, we flat the 3rd. Flat the 3rd note. So our 3rd note is a B, right? The 3rd of the scale is a B. So we're going to flat it. So it would be a B flat. So here's our B note in the chord. So there's our B. So it's going to become that, right? So there's the moody darkness of the romance within the minor chord. All right, so let's listen to this. So here's G major. So once I have that chord shape, all I gotta do is lift my middle finger there, my second finger, and that's our minor chord. So it's flatted. When I lift, it's being barred by this first finger, right? And it's on the third. The note is on the third string, third fret, a B flat. Okay. What did I do there? I'm going to explain that one next. Okay, there's another chord. So there's a G minor. Okay, so let's say you wanted to make a G7. But before we do that, let's say we want to do a G major 7. Okay, let's look at a G major 7. So there's G major. Now, where does the 7 come from? Well, it's the 7th note of the scale. For a G major 7, we simply add the 7th note of the scale. So our 5th note, well, let's go back. Our first note is a G, our 3rd note is a B, our 5th note is a D, our 6th note is an E, so our 7th note is an F sharp. So we're going to add an F sharp to this chord, and we will have a G major 7. Okay, so here's our major. Okay, now what we can do is here's our F sharp here on our 4th string, 4th fret. Okay, so we were just playing. Now we need to get this note here above the B. So there's the B, above it, right there. Yeah. There he is. Okay. So what we can do is you can do one of these. You can lift your pinky. You lift your pinky. Okay, and you get this note in here because we don't need this G. Remember, this was just an octave, anyways. So the G is basically gets flatted into an F sharp. Okay, and we can play it like this, where you bend your finger like that, or you can go like this, which is probably easier, with both of your fingers there, like that. So that's a beautiful chord. It's a beautiful chord. Okay, and now there's one more way of playing this. You can also play it this way. You could play first finger on the G here. You can put your second finger on the B flat here. Okay, that sounds atrocious, right? And then you can get your. You're not going to play the A note actually. Then so your 5th string. That's the thing about this type of chord. We don't play the A string, so it's just going to get muted with our first finger. It's going to mute the A. Okay, we're going to get the B flat there. Actually, it's not a B. So there, it's not a minor. So I'm sorry, it's a B rather. And we're going to get the F sharp in there, and then we're going to get the D down here. I'm sorry, I was getting confused. I was thinking about the D note, and I was here on the B flat. So make it a minor. It's not a minor chord. It's a G major 7. So there's our G, there's our D on the 2nd string, and then here is our B and our F sharp. Sorry, a lot went into explaining that one. All right, so there's that. All right, so let's say now you want to play a G7 chord, which is, kind of a bluesy, jazzy chord. And so how do we do that? So with the G7, okay, we are going to add the 7th note, so which was this, right? But we're going to flat it. So we flat the 7th note, which makes it an F, okay? So that's going to get caught up in this. So normally that's a G major. We have a G there on the 4th string, on the 5th fret. But then if we made it G major 7, we take it down to an F sharp. We get an F sharp on this note, Now if we want to go with the 7, we're going to make this an F. Rather, we're going to flat the 7th note to make it a G7 chord. So this is barred. Okay, we have our 3rd finger here on the 5th fret, 5th string, and we're going to put our 2nd finger here on the 4th fret, 3rd string, and play it all the way through. And all these strings here on the 3rd fret are barred. Okay. So that's a cool sound, right? Kind of dissident. So there you can always put your, all you got to do really is make the major chord. And you know, we stepped it through and looked at the notes and stuff, but if you just are playing the major chord, you just lift your pinky, your 4th finger. Okay. Okay. So there's how you make a G major, a G minor, a G major 7, and a G7 chord. And we also talked about how a chord is made. It's the 1st, the 3rd, and the 5th. If we want to make a G major 7, we add the 7th note of the scale to the 1st, the 3rd. So it'd be the 1st, the 3rd, the 5th, and the 7th, right? If we want to make a G7 chord, it's the 1st, the 3rd, the 5th, and the 7th flatted. Okay, flat the 7th. Okay. If we want to make a G minor chord, it would be the 1st, flat the 3rd, and the 5th note, and you would have a minor chord. Okay. Now this doesn't just work for G. We only use G chord, major chord as an example. It would be for any chord. And the cool thing about a bar chord is it's movable. A major, B major, C major, okay? D major, E major, F major, F sharp major, alright? B flat major, okay. And back to the G, okay? So that's what's great about bar chords. You can just move them all over the fingerboard, and yeah, that's why I love them so much. So anyways, loving some chords. So I hope this has helped you out, helped you give you a better understanding of how to make chords, and this is, so I hope you liked it. This is meant to be a supplement of the lesson on how to make chords, also triads, lessons on triads. So hope you like my video, hope you subscribe, and if you'd like private lessons, you can get a hold of me through my website, rics5minuteguitar.com, or you can email me, rics5minuteguitar@gmail.com. And at any rate, I hope I hear from you, but otherwise, I'll see you on the next video. Take care now. Bye.